This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. A stream of tears rolled down from Jiang Ruobing's eyes. As a woman of the Jiang family, although she is extremely glorious, only she knows the misery in her heart. What's the difference between this and raising a pig to be slaughtered? This is the fate of pigs, and it's also the fate of us women, the beautiful woman said. Back then, his master had wanted to break free from that fate, but he had caused the tragic death of the person he loved. He had felt guilty for his entire life. If I wasn't so stubborn back then, everyone would have been fine, and so many people wouldn't have died in the Red Moon City. What happened back then made her heart ache. Jiang Ruobing quickly wiped her tears and said, "Master, I'm sorry. I've reminded you of sad things again. I should be the one saying sorry, Master. I've made you worry for so many years," the beautiful woman said with a smile. Jiang Ruobing was taken aback and said in surprise, "Master, what happened?" The beautiful woman nodded and said seriously, "Master will no longer be immersed in the grief of the past. After drinking this wine of drunkenness, I will forget what I should forget. I, Ning Keyue, have returned." She exuded an indescribable majesty, and her entire temperament changed. She now had the demeanor of a peerless expert. Jiang Ruobing was in disbelief. She widened her eyes and said, "I'm really curious. What kind of divine being came here and woke you up?" Ning Keyue smiled and touched Jiang Ruobing's little face. "This city is filled with young masters, and all the talents in the world are gathered here. Is there anyone you like?" Jiang Ruobing's face turned red and she said angrily, "They're all flirtatious young masters who rely on their aristocratic families. None of them have any real ability. How can I like anyone?" Ning Keyue smiled and said seriously, "Ruobing, you've also reached the marriageable age. If you don't get married soon, you'll be a leftover fighter." Although the women of great families were more restrained, they were at least better than many ordinary women. They could choose a woman of equal social status, peacefully take care of their husband and raise their children, and the husband would be noble and the wife would be honored. Could it be that those ordinary women could also choose their own destinies? Right now, almost all the talents in the world have gathered in the Red Moon City. You should observe carefully and choose one that is suitable for you. However, the premise is that the person must have great strength and extremely high potential for development, even if the background is not as good. Otherwise, not to mention your parents, even I will not agree." Jiang Ruobing curled her lips and snorted. "If I can't find someone I like, I'll never marry him, even if I have to be the last guest. The last man is the king. I'll never marry him." Ning Keyue took her little hand and said softly, "You don't have to worry too much. Master didn't care enough about you in the past. I'll definitely make the decision for you this time. If you don't like it, no one can force you. However, you must choose someone you like to marry. This joust for a spouse event has caused such a huge ruckus. If you can't choose your ideal husband, how do you want the Red Moon City to end this?" "Master, you're not helping me," Jiang Ruobing said anxiously. "Since it's a martial contest for marriage, then naturally you have to win before you can marry me. Even if I have someone I like, what's the point if I can't win? All of the favorites to win the championship are either playboys or extremely ugly. They're not that strong either and rely on their family's equipment, pills, and cultivation techniques to survive. Putting all of that aside, they can't even beat me." Ning Keyue's eyes lit up and she said, "Don't worry and go find him. As long as his aptitude and strength aren't too bad, Master will let him win. During this period of time, I will send people to gather the information of all the young experts who have entered the Red Moon City. You can make a good selection." Jiang Ruobing still wanted to say something, but Ning Keyue stopped her. "That's it. Go back and wait for the news. Master will begin to handle this matter right away. I will definitely not let you suffer." After she drove Jiang Ruobing away, she looked at the 2 jars of wine with a strange expression and muttered to herself, "This kid looks like he's experienced, but under his young face, there's a feeling of vicissitudes. Which friend's junior is he? His appearance and skills are also top-notch. Although the strength of a 5-stars martial supreme is ordinary, he was able to escape from the power of my palm. That art of lightning is somewhat similar to the North Scorpion sect's lightning transformation art. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that they have some connection with the Jiang family? Ning Kuyue thought for a while and suddenly smiled. She said to herself, let me first collect all the information on this brat and see if Ruobing will like him. Her body became fainter and fainter under the peach tree, and finally disappeared, leaving behind only 2 jars of fine wine that emitted a faint fragrance. After bidding farewell to Ning Kuyue, Yunxiao took the south-pointing chariot and flew in the air. This kind of vehicle was very convenient, with all kinds of landmarks in the entire Red Moon City on it, and he could go there with just a casual point. He found the direction of the Myriad Treasure Tower and directly flew over. The Red Moon City was one of the main cities of the entire continent. Basically, all chambers of commerce, big and small, had branches. Some chambers of commerce even had their headquarters set up directly in the Red Moon City. Myriad Treasure Store's business was extremely good. The entire sales hall occupied tens of thousands of square meters, but there was still an endless stream of people, and it did not seem spacious at all. Hello, how can I help you? A quick-witted shop assistant came up to him and guided Yunxiao to the side, so that he would not be standing in front of the door and affect the way. Do you have moon pearls from the East Sea? Yunxiao asked directly. There are too many goods. I'll go and look for what you need, the shop assistant said hurriedly. As a waiter, he had to be familiar with thousands of goods, but even so, he could not remember everything. There were still a large number of uncommon items that he did not know. Yunxiao nodded. This thing was quite uncommon. However, he didn't expect that the shop assistant would be able to find it. He only wanted to see the person in charge of their Red Moon City. Only then would it be possible to get it. However, if you directly asked to see the person in charge, the other party would ignore you. Little brother, you're here to buy a set, right? Suddenly, a man leaned over and looked around. He mumbled, I'm from the Brutal Dragon Merchant Association. We have the exact same set of equipment. It's only worth half of the value of the 10,000 treasures store. The price of a first-tier profound armament and the quality of a 9th-tier profound armament is definitely worth it. Yunxiao was taken aback. With his powerful divine sense, he had long noticed that many people in the hall were discussing some suit. He also found it strange, so he asked in confusion, what do you mean by set? The man was taken aback. He gave Yunxiao a new look and said in disbelief, you don't know about sets? Don't tell me you don't want to participate in the Jiang Second Young Mrs. Joust for a spouse event. You don't have to be afraid. If you want it, just say it out loud. Which man wouldn't want it? He just doesn't dare to. However, with our Tyrannosaurus Merchant Guild's Sherwin set, this is no longer a problem. He took out a small booklet with the words certain victory written on it. He opened it one by one and explained, our Brutal Dragon Merchant Guild's Sherwin set is divided into 3 levels, including weapons, armor, helmet, wrist guards, knee guards, and foot guards. There is also a pair of rings that increase strength and agility, as well as necklaces that increase resistance to various attributes. The weapons can be forged at any time according to your needs. The cost of buying one set is 60% of the cost of buying each set, which is almost half the price. The man blinked and smiled evilly. With this suit, it'll be hard not to get the second miss of the Jiang family. Pa. Just as the man was trying his best to promote his goods, someone patted him heavily on the shoulder. The guard of the Myriad Treasure Store grabbed the booklet in his hand, looked at it, and coldly snorted, it's another scum who came to pull in my Myriad Treasure Tower's customers. Drag him out, beat him to death, and bury him in the backyard to raise tea. No, sir, spare me, I won't dare to do it again, sir. The man trembled and begged for mercy. However, he was knocked unconscious and dragged out by a few warriors. The guard gave Yunxiao a smile and said, don't be fooled, dear customer. Now, all the major chambers of commerce have launched their own arena suit. However, if you want to win, you must first choose our Myriad Treasure Store's King's suit. If we compare the same quality, we will compare the price. If we compare the same price, we will compare the quality. If we compare the same price, we will compare the service. In short, we will let you buy it without worry and use it with ease. Your satisfaction is our greatest pursuit. I'm not buying a suit. Yunxiao said awkwardly. That man was just trying to promote his suit. There's no need to kill him and feed him tea, is there? He knew that Red Moon City produced a kind of blood tea, which was watered with the blood of martial artists. The stronger the martial artist was, the more fragrant and delicious the blood tea that was cultivated would be. It was a rare treasure and was one of the 3 best teas. Humph. The guard snorted coldly and said, the business world is like a battlefield. If the people from other chambers of commerce dare to come to our place to attract customers, they're trying to cut off our source of income. Cutting off one's source of income was no different from killing one's parents. He wanted to kill our parents, so using his blood to water the tea leaves is letting him off easy. If our Myriad Treasure Store's people were to go to other chambers of commerce to attract customers, the result would be the same. Yunxiao was stunned when he heard that. It seemed that disputes existed not only in martial arts, but in any place as long as there were benefits. It was a world of martial arts. The guard immediately changed his smile and said, customer, please take your time to choose. Myriad Treasure Tower's things are absolutely the best. There won't be any better. Yunxiao nodded slightly and began to look at the shop. Basically, every batch of guests who came in would be greeted by a waiter, and the service attitude was excellent. The shop assistant from before quickly returned with an account book and said, look, there were 3 in stock in Haitian Town. Unfortunately, someone asked to buy them, so they were transferred here a few months ago and were bought. Now there is no stock in the entire eastern region. Myriad Treasure Store's sales desk account and logistics system were the best in the world. Yunxiao looked at the account book and saw that there seemed to be more information in the last remark, but it was unfortunately blocked by the shop assistant. Yes, Yunxiao said. Can you tell me the information of the buyer? This pearl is very important to me. The shop assistant hurriedly closed the account book and smiled apologetically. I'm sorry, sir. We have to keep every customer's information confidential. Well, what if I pay a high price for this information? Yunxiao asked, unwilling to give up. No matter how high the price is, you can't buy Myriad Treasure Store's credibility, the shop assistant said with a smile. Yunxiao had no choice but to give up. I want to buy a large number of these bright moon beads. I wonder if I can meet the person in charge of your sect in the eastern region. The shop assistant chuckled. I'm really sorry about that. Our head shopkeeper is very busy. If you need it, you can pay a deposit and leave your address. We will send someone to inform you when we have the goods. Yunxiao knew that he was declining. Perhaps the head shopkeeper was drinking with a girl at this moment, but he had no choice. Since there was no moon pearl of the East Sea in the entire eastern region at present, it was unlikely that there would be one in the near future. He took his leave and planned to visit all of these chambers of commerce that were at the top. He went to more than 10 shops in a row, and all of them were bought by someone. Moreover, the information of the buyers was very secretive. Finally, he found some information from a smaller chamber of commerce. 500,000 primeval stones? Do you think that the reputation of our chamber of commerce is only worth 500,000? 1 million. If it's okay, then it's okay. If it's not, then we'll get it. Add a little more to this Ingluo. 2 million, money in one hand, information in the other. Yunxiao immediately took out 2 million primordial stones. The shop assistant was overjoyed and whispered in his ear, the person who wants to buy this moon pearl is the servant girl of the Jiang family's current mistress, Xiao Mei. Are you sure? Yunxiao's face flickered. Are you sure? The shop assistant covered his mouth and snickered. How can I not be sure? That Xiao Mei has an affair with our manager. You haven't seen that little Mei's enchanting appearance. Every time I see it, it makes my heart itch unbearably. I really don't know what kind of good fortune our shopkeeper has cultivated in his life, it really makes others envious. Yunxiao could naturally see that the man did not speak, but there was a worried look on his face. He pondered for a moment and said, judging from the number of chambers of commerce he had visited, at least 8 of them had been purchased, and they had all been sold at the same time. This meant that it was definitely the mistress of the Jiang family. If it was really in the hands of the mistress of the Jiang family, it would be troublesome. Do I really have to ask Kue for help? Not to mention my sensitive identity, even if Kue were to come forward, she might not be able to get it. Just as he was lost in his thoughts, a familiar voice suddenly entered his ears. Boss, how much is your 6th step suit? Aya, you've come to the right place. If we were to say that the 6th tier suit in the entire Red Moon City is the 2nd cheapest, no one would dare to say that it's the 1st. The shop assistant ignored Yunxiao and hurried up to him. A man in a green robe was looking around the shop. The business here was much worse than that of the big chambers of commerce. If a small shop like this wanted to compete and survive, they could only improve service and reduce prices. Hey, it's you? The man in green was the one who had sold 3 secret books on picking up girls to Yunxiao earlier. When the two met, he immediately looked a little embarrassed and said with an embarrassed smile. The Red Moon City is so small. It's really a small world. Yunxiao's face darkened as he said coldly, you cheated me of my primeval stones. How can you say that I'm lying? Did I force you to buy it? The green-robed man cried out, feeling wronged. He rolled his eyes and smiled. That's right. I'll take you to a good place. I guarantee that the chances of you winning the joust for a spouse will be much higher. Without giving him a chance to explain, he pulled Yunxiao and ran out, ignoring the man's desperate shouts behind him. The two of them ran through the city at an extremely fast speed for a while, and when they came to a courtyard, the man in the green robe gave Yunxiao a meaningful look and said, I couldn't tell that you're a 5-stars martial grandmaster, but your foundation is quite deep. You didn't even take a breath to keep up with my pace. Yunxiao scanned the courtyard with his divine sense and found that it was very wide, with at least dozens of warriors gathered there. However, their strength was very limited, with only a few of them being martial honors and above. What is this place? Follow me in and you'll know. The man in green led him straight in. There were a few guards inside, and when they saw the man in green's appearance, they nodded their heads to show their goodwill. The two of them went straight into one of the main halls, and the man in green shouted, Register, register. Don't sleep anymore. We have a new friend. A slightly fatter martial artist was sleeping on the table. The man in green kicked him and woke him up. The fat man hurriedly made a few moves, thinking that he had encountered an enemy. The man in green sighed in relief and said, Wenlin, you bought your suit? The green-robed man, Wenlin, snorted. I don't have enough money. I brought a new friend to join the guild. Hurry up and get an identity. The fat man gave Yunxiao a contemptuous look and snorted, however, you're a 5-stars martial grandmaster. Your recommendation fee is only 50,000 medial-grade primordial stones. He took out a storage bag, which contained 50,000 primeval stones, and threw it over. Yunxiao nearly fainted. He still did not understand what kind of organization it was, but he already knew the reason why Wenlin had pulled him here. It turned out that he was here to earn the introduction fee. Having been exposed by the fat man, Wenlin scolded awkwardly, you damn fat pig, do your thing, don't talk about things you shouldn't talk about. He happily took out the storage bag and carefully counted it, clearly not at ease with the fat man. The fat man glanced at Yunxiao indifferently and said arrogantly, where's your ID card? Take it out. What? Yunxiao blushed with shame. What kind of meeting is this? What organization? What are you doing? He didn't tell you, the fat man was stunned. He pointed to the side and realized that the Wenlin had already run far away. He couldn't help but curse a few times, then said, it doesn't matter. It's the same if I tell you now. Our organization is the savior of a country bumpkin like you. The date of the goddess's groom search competition is getting closer and closer. Do you have the confidence to defeat the young masters of the 7 superpowers? There are also 7 geniuses from the younger generation of the Eastern region who are known as the 7-star children. They have all come for this. If you go to the arena tournament, do you have the confidence to win against these people? Yunxiao shook his head. He would not participate in any arena tournament at all. As for the 7 stars of the Eastern region, he had never even heard of them. He guessed that they were probably the same as the 4 prodigies of the north. As the direct daughter of the Jiang family of the Red Moon City, it was normal for Jiang Ruobing to attract the attention of these top forces. This is right. We don't have a good background. We don't have powerful parents. We don't have a master who can call the wind and summon the rain. We can only rely on ourselves. The fat man said. His eyes revealed a determined look as he clenched his fist and said, "We were all born in poverty and were not talented martial artists. However, we had a common goal. We all gathered together because we liked Goddess Ruobing. We wanted to stay together and fight against those tall, rich, and handsome men together. Our organization is called Ice Cube, the most loyal fan group of the goddess." Yunxiao. The fat man's blood began to boil as he spoke. "I, Zhu Jingyi, am also the most loyal fan of the goddess. The purpose of our ice cube is to become the most powerful and loyal guard of the goddess." Aww. He couldn't help but howl on the table. Yunxiao wiped his cold sweat and said awkwardly, "Then you've got the wrong person. I don't even know what Jiang Ruobing looks like, and I'm not interested in joining the joust for a spouse event. Brother Fatty, goodbye." He turned around and was about to leave. Even though Zhu Jingyi was scarily fat, he was still quite agile. He scuttled in front of him in an instant and extended his hand to stop him. "You can't leave. Wenlin has already received the introduction fee, so you must join the association, or else you'll have to pay 10 times the compensation." Yunxiao was speechless. "It's getting weirder and weirder," he said coldly. "Are you a fan club or a cult? I think you guys are using the name of a fan club to do evil things." The murderous aura on his body dispersed slightly. Zhu Jingyi was shocked and his heart felt as if it had fallen into a deep abyss. A huge wave of fear hit him, causing all the fat on his body to shiver. A huge wave was set off in his heart. How could a 5-stars martial grandmaster have such a powerful aura? Zhu Jingyi was going to stop Yunxiao, but now, he was trembling with fear just by sensing the other party's aura. He did not dare to make a move, so he said in a hurry, "Don't go yet. We're a genuine fan club, not a cult, I can prove it." Yunxiao was about to leave when he heard the man say that he had proof. He could not help but ask curiously, "What evidence do you have?" Only then did Zhu Jingyi realize that the aura had disappeared. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief. The fat on his face trembled as he said, "Our Ice Cube organization and Goddess Ruobing's personal maid, Little Shui, would often communicate with each other. Little Shui would also often bring us the latest news about the goddess, as well as the goddess' blessings and expectations for us." Yunxiao. When Li 11 saw Yunxiao's stunned look, he thought that he had been tempted, so he immediately grinned and said, "Aren't you tempted? As long as you add our ice cubes, you might be able to see the true face of Goddess Ruobing one day. You might even be able to get a portrait of the goddess." He revealed an excited expression, as if he had already obtained it. "It's the servant girl again," Yunxiao said in embarrassment. His mind began to work. At present, he knew that the entire Crimson Moon City, or even the entire Eastern region's East Sea Moon Pearl, was in the hands of the Jiang family's female lead of the Crimson Moon City. This female lead should be Jiang Ruobing's mother. Perhaps he could find a way to get the East Sea Moon Pearl through this fan group. He didn't want to find Ningqiu unless it was absolutely necessary. His old friends and the things that happened in the past might have faded with the death of Gu Feiyang. He didn't want anything to happen to Ningqiu's life.